Okay, we're live. We're live a little early on purpose. We want to see if we are functioning properly here. Let me know, folks. Are you seeing me okay on this show? Let's take a look here as I am pumping up the volume and taking a look to see if I am on the air. Might as well say hi to you folks now and make sure I'm working properly. Are you looking? Thanks, Robert. You're saying I'm looking good. Fantastic. You can hear me okay, you guys? Robert saying so far so good, and I got an ad running right now on my phone, and so I'll let that run for the moment, and we'll see if everything else is coming through okay, nice and clear. Okay, Peter saying I'm looking good. Yay! Thanks, Peter. Fantastic. This is great, guys. We'll be able to do this show here. We're going to start officially in about about a minute or so. Actually, just about now, I think, is our official time in. No, 1 minute to go. Pardon me. Got a minute to go, and I'm going to start the show. Just want to make sure I had a nice, clear picture. Yeah, Anne's got me nice. Cat. Hi, Cat. Tracy looks good. Fantastic. All right. We are coming through loud and clear. Fantastic, you guys. And Joan is retweeting my tweets. Fantastic. I'm getting all kinds of stuff going on at the same time. Fantabulistic. I love it. Okay, back to here. And we'll skip out of there and come into my show. There I am. And I seem to be working fine. We got 13 here. Fantastic, you guys. Welcome to the broadcast. And we're getting ready to fire this thing up. Got some trivia. All right, this is great. I have cats kind of in the neighborhood here. They might make an appearance. They might not. I don't know. It's up to them if they want to appear on the air or not. We'll kind of take it from there. All right, let me take a peek over here at my, I think, 15 watching now. Fantastic, and we are live. All right, we're here for trivia. It's Tuesday night trivia from Calgary. Welcome back to the show. I'm on a dining room table here in the living room. This is my daughter. Daughter has a house here with a boyfriend, and I'm all alone in the house. Everyone is out doing whatever, and they're just leaving me alone to do what I do, which is just great. I don't have to worry about bothering anybody, and vice versa, and can hang out with my followers and do what I do best. At least I try anyway. I do the best I can with what little I have. And I've got some trivia questions for you. I did check out that Aeromexico plane thing. Apparently, the plane it landed, and it sounded like. From some reports, there was some pretty nasty weather happening, like hail and thunder showers. There might have been some squalls of some kind of nasty summer storm, and I guess the plane was short of the runway, landed, I guess, in a field. People got out. There were injuries, but apparently no deaths, from what I'm understanding. That's good news. So everyone apparently made it off the plane. Ambulances arrived, and the plane did ignite and burn up, but that was well after the folks were out of the plane. From what I understand, this is all I know. Things could change dramatically in the next few hours as we get the full story of what took place. But anyway, I guess it was a flight that was headed to a secondary city in Mexico, and so far the word is no one has perished in that mishap. That's good news. Folks that are here right now, we got Blaine here. Hi all, looking forward to the show with some good trivia. My answer tonight is Calgary. Jordan, morning Bruce and all, trivia go. Hey Blaine, of course it's morning in Australia where Anne is in Brisbane. Welcome back, Anne. Peter Heckma, hi Bruce and all, looking forward to some trivia tonight. My number one answer is Tokyo. Bakersfield Creston, Anne Jordan is saying that's her answer. Let's see here. Peter Heckman is wondering how cold it is out in Brisbane right now. Valen is here. Hey, Valen from Valen Martinez from Argentina. Welcome, buddy. Welcome back to the show here. Glad to have you here for trivia tonight. Let's see here, Peter. And you need a cruise to a nice warm place. That's what you need. And in 133 days, we'll be on OTC. Hope all is well. Hope. Will be on OTC. Hope all is well. Any guesses what OTC stands for? OTC. I don't know. I'm not sure. When is your next cruise? Peter Ann wants to know. Peter says our next cruise, Ann, is in November on the Symphony of the Seas. Peter, you're so lucky. That's a dream ship. And wants to know where you're headed. And I believe that's a Caribbean cruise, isn't it? Yeah. And let's see, the ship is really the destination is right in this case. And Jordan, yep, totally agree with you, Peter. This will be my 5th cruise with Royal Caribbean, first on Quantum class. She's going to be on Quantum. That's fantastic. Robert Brandt made it back from dinner. Right on, Robert. Welcome back to the show. Ready to go, buddy. And Jordan, me as well. A long time, Peter. Other cruise lines as well. Which is your favorite? And people are asking back and forth what cruises you like to go on. I'm just going to say hi to everybody here. Robert Brandt and Peter Heckman, very good. Ate one at the hotel restaurants. It was very good tonight. Let's see. Everything's looking good. Everyone's getting my signal nice and strong. Fantastic. Did Peter Heckman, did Jen contribute to tonight's trivia? No, not really. I kind of do this work on my own. Kind of prefer to be left alone so I can get some peace and quiet and just concentrate on what I want to do and kind of speculate and think, oh, what should I work on tonight? What are we going to do today? Jen tonight is out with some friends of hers. No, actually, no, Jen tonight is spending the evening hours with our daughter. I think laundry is in the offing, and they're taking care of a few things on their own. So I'm on my own, and all is well here. So they're together for now, and they'll be doing other stuff later. What do we got here? And Jordan is saying, "Cool morning, cool jazz. Hump day it is. Just check with the news. No fatalities, but 37 injured. Prayers to all." This is about that plane crash, and it's Tuesday here, but Wednesday, I guess, in Australia. And Tracy Dunlop, hi Robert, I missed the earlier show. Hi Tracy, welcome back. And Jordan, Ovation of the Seas, there we go. Thank you. And Kat, don't know yet, not been on a cruise yet. So Kat will be going on a cruise, hopefully not too long from now. Okay, well, I'm showing 14 viewers on this site. Yeah, 14 of you are here so far. More will probably trickle in as we move on. At least this connection worked out perfectly. I even started a couple of minutes early just to make sure we had the good connection. Otherwise, I'm going to disconnect and reload like I've done the last two times. But it looks like this is going through okay, and we are getting a good, strong signal, and everything is good. The pussycats are relaxed. They've been fed their dinner, and they're just kind of lounging. I see Mr. Stinky over there. You haven't met Mr. Stinky yet, but he's over there just kind of hanging out. He's the real casual one. He may not even come over here. I generally don't think he does, but whatever he does, if he shows, he shows, and I'll introduce you to whomever comes by. If any of these furry friends of mine want to pop in for a little cameo as the show goes on. Let's see here. Yeah, Wednesday morning in Australia, Anna's saying right now. Wow. Okay, well, let's start some trivia. Let's see what we can do with some trivia today. I've got a couple of questions here for 3 of them, actually. And I thought the first one that I would give you guys, it's not that hard of a question, really, but might surprise you, some of these answers. This city that I'm in, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, we have about a little over 1 million people here. When I first moved here in 1977 from Ontario, Jen was from here. I was from Ontario. She heard the rumor that all the good-looking guys were in Eastern Canada. She came out for a visit to see a girlfriend of hers and see if she could round up a guy. Found me, brought me back a year later. Here I am. 1977, I've been here. She denies the story. She won't confirm the story, but it's really what happened. She heard all the good-looking guys were out there, and she grabbed me. But when I came out here in 77, this city was 450,000 people. And at that time, I would meet Calgarians from time to time, and they'd say, "Oh man, this town's growing. We're just busting at the seams." And they keep talking about more people coming. We have no idea where they're going to put them. There's just no room for anybody. I'm going, really? You got prairie to the east. You got flat land to the north. You got a couple of foothills to the south. Nothing serious. And you got the Rockies like 50 miles from here. You can see them from here. You can see the Rocky Mountains. The foothills are about 20 miles out of town, and then they turn into the Rockies. A beautiful drive. You kidding me? There's room here for like 20 million people. What are you talking about? 435,000. There's no room. And sure enough, the city just grew out and out and out, and got the Olympics the Winter Olympics in 1988. and put the city really on the map, like globally, for certainly for the other countries that were involved in the Olympics. They realized, wow, what a beautiful place, what a gorgeous area out here. Very much like Denver in a way, Colorado. We're at 3,800 feet elevation here, and we're known as an oil town. This city is really a white collar town. It's not an industrial city. This is a white collar town, and a lot of oil and gas companies have head offices here. A lot of American offices are here. In other words, subsidiary offices of Houston-based, Denver-based, Dallas-based energy companies in the U.S. They have corporate offices here in Calgary. Our airport has twin runways now and can handle a lot more flights going forward. Edmonton, our sort of not our twin sister, but it's about 1 million as well. They're 180 miles north of us, and that is the oil, the meat and potatoes town. That's the blue collar town, Edmonton. So if you want to get a drilling rig to drill some oil wells, the boys are in Edmonton. The guys in Calgary, they handle the instructions, they handle the geophysics, they handle all the land materials, they handle all the licensing and the permitting and raising the money to drill these wells. The boys in Edmonton are just standing there with their equipment going, where are we going and what do you want us to do? And so when it's time to drill wells and drill pipelines between oil wells and then little pipelines to the main pipelines to hook it all in, that's what these guys do up here, have been since the 40s. Oil was discovered in Alberta, north of us, 180 miles north of us, in a place called Leduc, Alberta, big time in the 40s. The first oil ever discovered in Alberta was south of Calgary, actually, in a little area like High River and Okotoks and Black Diamond, a couple small towns that are today still smaller towns. But in those days, in the early 1910s and 20s, the technology was terrible. Just like if you ever seen these photos from Pennsylvania when they first started drilling oil with Standard Oil, and they would drill an oil well and 50 feet away would be another oil well and 50 feet would be another one. They would have these gushers for a while, but within a few months, the oil would run out and the pressure down below would run out. And now the oil wouldn't come to the surface anymore. And there were no more gushers. And so what they had to do then was put pumps in place to pump oil up. And that's what you see, those rocking horses going up and down all over this North American continent. That was the old way of bringing out oil. Anyway, big oil was found north of here by Edmonton in Leduc. And Imperial Oil, which is Exxon, had a Canadian subsidiary called Imperial Oil was a company in Canada that they founded, and Imperial Oil was Canada's largest oil producer for decades, the 50s, the 60s, into the 70s. Shell was here, all the multinationals. Petrofina at one time was here. Mobil was here on their own at one time, then they merged with others. And Calgary was always the place where you'd raise the money to drill oil wells, whether speculative or just to develop out a field. And Edmonton was where you hired the guys. All right, so there's a little recap for you of the oil patch in Canada. Back in the 60s, though, well, in the 40s and 50s, they discovered the oil sands, which you hear about through all the Sierra Club people down there in the USA. Oil sands were discovered, have been known to be here for hundreds of years. The Indians knew it as a tarry substance. You don't walk through there at all. It's a massive landmass north of Edmonton, about 2 hours by air, I'd say, maybe an hour by air, I guess. And the oil sands were just known by every oil man in North America. Any Texas oil man will know what what they call the tar sands, but the oil sands were about. The problem was you couldn't convert the oil, get it out of that sand economically. There's a ton of oil up there, but how do you get it out to make any money on it? It's way cheaper just to drill a hole 2 miles down into the ground and let the oil flow out and just pump it out, pump water down to build pressure and push up the oil, get it out. That was the way it was done from the 50s to 60s to 70s into the 80s. And by about the 90s, North America was supposed to run out of oil. The U.S. and Canada, we were on our last legs. The experts were saying North America is doomed. We're going to have to import from overseas, and we're going to be at the mercy of all the OPEC countries and others. And well, that's when this went to work, the brains, because here at the University of Calgary, we have a very extensive and quite a sophisticated oil and gas education system up here. They started figuring out, well, there's ways to extract oil out of these oil fields for a lot more, because to give you folks an idea of what this is like, even in Texas, Oklahoma, anywhere in the US, wherever you're flowing oil, it used to be that you would get maybe 8 to 10% of the oil out of the ground if you had an oil field anywhere in North America. That was conventional drilling, typical pumping out the oil. You get 8 to 10%. That would be it. And the rest of the oil would stay down there and couldn't get it out economically. Well, in the 80s and the 90s, they came up with new methods to enhance production from existing oil fields. And the first trick was to just pump water down there. Just pump water down to the field reserve and make the oil rise, because oil rises, it floats, and the water would go below the oil would come up, and then you could bring out another 5% of the oil field, another 20 years of life, 10 years of life. Then they figured out, well, we can make it even better than that. We can now do what's called horizontal drilling, and we can drill a hole down, and then we can drill a hole out. We can drill pipe this way, almost every 10 degrees, we can drill a well, oil out, and we can put the first pipe in the middle of the what's called the pay zone, where the oil actually is. There's this massive lake of oil under the ground, might be 20 feet deep. Put the oil at about the 15-foot mark, and then at the pipe, and then bring out the horizontal pipe all along where the oil is for as far as it goes, in some cases a mile, and then have holes in the pipe just to suck it all up and bring it all up the main pipe, and increase pressure with again water wells to keep the oil level right where it is and suck the oil up. That got you another 5-10% of the field. So all of a sudden, these oil fields from the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, they weren't going dry. The thinking was we'd be out of oil. No, we're still bringing it out of the ground. Oil wells, in some cases, are drilling or pumping oil 30, 40 years after they were drilled. Now, oil wells have to be maintained. You have to re-drill the hole to clean it up. It's like a pipe. It gets clogged up. So you bring in a rework rig and you redo that. That's what all the boys in Edmonton do in this town. In Dallas and Houston, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, all over the U.S., you have the same professional guys and girls who can do this. And of course, now lately we've had what's called fracking, and that's where the controversy lies, because you're pumping some kinds of chemicals down there that don't have to be explained to the public. The EPA has kind of allowed oil and gas companies to put some toxic crap down there that no one has to reveal what it is. And I think that's wrong, but that's just me. But these chemicals and all kinds of ways to use what's called fracking, where you in effect drill a well, a pipe into a rock formation that's got all kinds of oil in it, but the oil is stuck in the rock. It won't flow properly. So you literally pour liquid down there, and you pour in, you put down there some sort of an explosive, set it off, which fractures the rock and makes it just crack. Millions of cracks for hundreds, thousands of feet. And all this oil now can seep through this fractured earth, and these pipes can suck up this oil. And this has become a global phenomenon. And the United States is the leading country in the world for fracking now. And that's why our friends in the Dakotas are producing records amount of oil. They never thought they could. For decades, it was known that there was oil in what's known as the Permian, can't remember the name of the formation, Devonian formation, whatever it was. There was oil known to be there, but you just couldn't get it out. There was no way to get it out to make any money on it. You get a barrel out, cost you get a barrel out, cost you $300 to get out a barrel of oil. You can only get $100 a barrel for it at the best of times, $50 a barrel sometimes in the lowest of times. But with fracking, you can bring oil out for 10, 15, $20 a barrel, sometimes less, sometimes more, and all of a sudden all kinds of fields became economical. One side effect, though, is you get a lot of natural gas too. And you don't need the natural gas. What you have is called flaring. You see these flares, these flames going up in the sky. They're burning off the natural gas to get the oil out. In other cases, they're taking the natural gas, getting it up, turning around and using the gas to push it back down to the formation to get the oil out. There's all kinds of tricks that the oil patch uses, and it isn't always pretty, but this is what our society is based on from every G7 country, every G20 country around the world. Every time you fill up your gas tank, you're filling it up with oil and gas that's coming from somewhere, and it's either coming from light sweet crude from maybe Venezuela, but not these days with Venezuela having all their troubles, or you're using heavier oil. And the dirtiest oil in North America, do not believe it's from Alberta. The dirtiest oil in North America is in California. Since the 50s, there's been oil drilled and pumped out just outside of, is it anywhere near Bakersfield? I really don't know. I think it's outside the LA limits. That oil has been coming out of the ground from the 50s. Still to this day, it is the dirtiest oil of all oils. But the refineries are completely equipped to handle it. They take this dirty oil, they refine it, and they thin out, they get out the impurities, and they thin it out, and then they can use it for engine oil or gasoline or naphtha or whatever purpose you need it for. And that's what's going on in the oil patch there. The oil sands that we have, by the way, in the 60s, it began to make sense that the guys in the university here and other universities around the world figured out there's ways to enhance this gunk, and if we warm it, steam it up, that'll make it flow better, it'll loosen it, we can get more of it out of the ground, and then we need to just refine it, and they figured out ways to refine it. And by the 80s and the 90s, oil sands oil became economical when oil took off in price up to the $100 a barrel mark. And today, oil sands oil can be produced in the 30s a barrel. And right now, as we're talking today, July 31st, 2018, oil is about $65 US a barrel. They're pulling it out at 30, and there's lots of it there. But the environmental controls are incredibly strict to do this here. Not that the Sierra Club will ever tell you that. You'll never find it from a environmentalist. They'll never tell you. But the 60s, it was pretty lousy. But in the 80s and 90s and today, it is incredibly strict. The emissions are highly regulated. There's carbon taxes. It's a big deal. But the thirst for petroleum products from our countries is so overpowering that right now, as long as oil is available, like it is, there will be no wars. But if there's a shortage of oil and it lasts a little longer than is more comfortable than others, and certain countries can get oil and certain countries cannot get oil, there will be trouble. And right now, the mankind has got skirmishes, but nothing like we could see if we had serious restrictions on oil where countries cannot go to another source. Now, I'd rather have a Tesla than a gasoline engine car, to be honest. I'd rather work on electricity. I'd rather have solar panels on my house, make my own electricity, store it in battery systems, and charge my car from a battery. That would be heaven for me. But this is 2018. I might be 10 years ahead of my time before that can happen for everybody. Maybe I'm 20 years ahead of my time. I don't know. But at the moment, the oil patch is the oil patch, and that's the way it is. It's changed. It is changing and is evolving despite whoever's in power. The industry is trying to produce as much oil as humanly possible for the cheapest price in the cleanest way possible, so that when they're done with it, when they're done with their oil fields and whatever, they leave it as clean as possible. Not all environmentalists agree, and a lot of people march in the streets with dirty black-looking pipes on their shoulders. You'll never convince them because they've just got their mind made up. But the world is what it is. We are what we are. And we've been living off of petroleum since probably the early 1900s. Prior to that, it was coal, almost exclusively coal. And of course, steam trains were run on coal. Now locomotives run on electricity, but they burn diesel fuel to power the generator on the locomotive to power its engines. Cruise ships run on electricity. They generate electricity using, again, a diesel type fuel, although we're shifting, cruise ships are now shifting to liquid natural gas, which I highly encourage. I think it's great to burn as clean as possible, but they're generating electricity with massive generators to keep the ship systems up and running and to power the electric motors for the azipods on cruise ships. And so 50 years from now, long after I'm probably gone, the world will probably be running a lot cleaner than it is now, but how much more fossil fuel will have been burned between now and then, and how far will we have converted to other ways? I don't know. So there's a brief history of Alberta and the oil patch. But to be honest, the province of Alberta, where I am right now, this is actually agriculture. If you go outside the city limits of Calgary, you'll see the odd oil head going up and down like this. You'll see a couple of those, but those are old-fashioned. What you'll actually see are farms. We grow wheat here. We grow barley, oats, canola for canola oil. We grow beef. We grow meat. This is an agricultural area and tourism. And a lot of high tech is also in Calgary because, again, there are a lot of highly educated kids here. I'm now an older guy. I used to be a kid in this town, but there are a lot of people here in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who are cutting edge technologists, software programmers, computer system operators, software developer, you name it. It covers the gamut. It's unbelievable. The city's a marketing town. There's a lot of advertising agencies here. This city is quite green, actually, and it's quite a young city. A lot of young families here. More and more young people move here from other parts of the country to get in on the energy and into the drive of this town and this province as a whole. So if you ever get the chance to come up to Alberta, you're not coming to a smelly, stinky place with all kinds of smokestacks and refineries. You're not going to see them. We have a few refineries, but they're actually up in the northern part of the province. And again, they're quite heavily regulated. In order to get a permit to build one, oh man, you got to go through environmental regulations. It's incredible. There is a fight on in Canada and elsewhere for pipelines. Alberta wants to have pipelines built to get oil out to markets. And there are environmentalists who will do anything to stop it. Anything. Chain themselves to fence posts, you name it. But it's the safest way to move product like that rather than by train or by truck. It's cleaner, it's safer, it's quicker, but you can't convince some people about it. And I accept it. It's all good. It's whatever works for you, the way it is. Anyway, I bring up the oil topic today because I have a quiz to start the show where I'm asking you to tell me the world's largest oil reserve countries. What countries in the world have oil in the ground, who have the most oil still to extract in the ground from what are known as known reserves? And fire away and tell me, if you can, what countries in the world have the highest amount of oil still available to be pumped out. There are 20 countries on this list, and we'll see what you got. And Robert Brandt is coming right in with the United States of America. Excuse me, the U.S. is number 13. The United States is 13th most in the world. 20 billion barrels are still available to be found and exported or brought up to the surface and used, but 13th. Richard C. is thinking about Russia, and Russia is number 8 with 60 billion barrels. United Arab Emirates and Jordan, they're in 7th place with 97 billion barrels. Robert Brandt thinking about Canada. Canada is number 3. Canada has 175 billion barrels of oil still to be found and brought out. That is almost 9 times what the United States has. We've got a lot of oil up here. Blaine, Iran is another country. It's number 4 on the list, just behind Canada, 137 million barrels. Iran will be producing oil for 100 years more or longer, for many, many more decades. There's so much oil in Iran. They've barely scratched their surface. Valen Martinez, Venezuela. Venezuela is number 2. The country that is the poorest country on the list that I'm going over here. They have 211 billion barrels of oil that they can bring out. And they can't bring out a barrel because they're completely inept politically and socially. They're completely functionally illiterate, totally societally illiterate. I'm not sure how to say it. You have a Maduro, the president of the country, who's I don't know what he is, socialist or what have you. He followed Chavez, who became the president of the country. They kicked out all the foreign national oil companies and wanted to nationalize their whole industry. Chevron Mobil was there, Exxon, other. They said, fine, you want to be nationalized? You just got to buy us out. Just cut us a check. Venezuela can't cut checks. Venezuela got nothing. And so the oil fields have gone dormant. All the refineries have shut down because of lack of parts. And the workers have quit because they can't get paid. And so Venezuela today imports gasoline into its country to help fuel its citizens' cars. They are completely inept. It is a broken country, and they have 1,000,000% inflation this year expected. Can you imagine inflation at 1,000,000%? That's what's happening. To buy a can of Coke like this, you need 100 Bovar notes, or what used to be $100 notes in our lingo. You need $100 notes that are this high, that go this wide. You have to have a suitcase of $100 bills to buy one of these. And tomorrow, add another couple of stacks of hundreds to get it, because tomorrow, that's how much more this one will be. The country is completely dysfunctional. Anyway, second highest reserves of oil in the world, 211 billion barrels. Do the math at $100 a barrel, and it's trillions of dollars, and they are flat broke. It's unbelievable. It is a shame. Paul Wilgus is guessing China. China, number 14, they have 14.8 billion known reserves of oil as of today. Blaine, 2007, is thinking about Iraq. Yes, Iraq is number 5 at 115 barrels, just behind Iran and Canada. 115 billion barrels of recoverable oil in Iraq. The problem is you drill for the oil and try to get it out, and you can't get it out because of the violence. Too many grenade launchers in the neighborhood. It's a volatile liquid, and Iraq is a mess. They're pulling out a fraction of what they're capable of. The country could be one of the wealthiest in the world if only they could just get along, but they can't get along. And so it continues. The mess continues. Tracy Dunlap and Peter Heckema, Saudi Arabia, they're number 1. Saudi Arabia right now has 262 billion barrels of recoverable oil, which is about half as much more as Canada has at 175 billion barrels. The Saudis, however, good news for the Saudis is that the oil they have is in a liquid form. You just have to drill it and bring it up. And they probably have enough oil for the next 30, 40, 50 years, but they have seen the future. Their leadership knows that their days are numbered with respect to being number 1 on this planet for production. They've got to diversify their economy, and the new prince that's in charge is radically changing the Saudi society from top to bottom as quick as he can. But boy, has he got work to do. That country is embedded in history and tradition. If you know the royal family, you get handouts. Well, those days are coming to an end. They have to. It'll be interesting to see if he can pull it off while he's still young before he becomes an old man. He has 30 years to do it unless he gets overthrown in the meantime. So far, so good. We'll see. Cool Jazz has Venezuela. Blaine is guessing Kuwait. Kuwait is number 6 on the list, 104 billion barrels. Kuwait is this big. Stuck in between Iran and Iraq, and you've got the Strait of Hormuz, the water in the middle, and Kuwait's right at the top. It's got this choicey little piece of real estate that George Bush, the senior, decided to defend and kick Saddam Hussein out of there. The Kuwaitis have been more than grateful ever since. And 104 billion barrels of oil in Kuwait. The Kuwaitis will have oil for generations to come going forward. It's quite amazing. I think the country has 5 million people that are doing quite well. Peter Heckema guessed Canada. Tracy Dunlop was guessing Syria. Unfortunately, Syria is not an oil producer of any significance, and they're not in the top 20. I don't think they produce oil of any significance at all. Sylvia, Saudi Arabia, we have Libya from Blaine. Libya is number 9 at 46 billion barrels. This is also a country that could be very wealthy. Unfortunately, it's now factioned off. It's got all kinds of factions that run different parts of the country. All these tribes, they're not getting along, and they're sitting on all this wealth and are broke. How about that? And of course, they are worried about surviving until tomorrow. Saudi Arabia from Nina Frank, we have it. Tracy Dunlop, Kuwait, we have it. Tom Henry, office is 10 miles, so only have to charge it every other night. This is Tom's car, fantastic. Blaine, sorry, Blaine is guessing Nigeria. It's an oil producer. Nigeria is number 10. They have 37 billion barrels. They've produced a lot of oil. They have a lot of people, and they've got to diversify out of oil into something else. But Nigeria is a mess. Nina Frank, Kuwait, we have. Tracy Dunlop is guessing Bahrain. Bahrain is not on the list for oil. I believe Bahrain is a gas, has a lot of natural gas, but not much in the way of oil. Robert Brandt is going after the obvious country, which is the Vatican. The Vatican is into everything these days. Where's Steamer when you need him? I think Steamer's on the road, Vegas to northern New York. He was saying New York State. So Steamer's on the road. Thank you, Robert, for that one. Blaine had Canada here. We already did that. Tracy Dunlap is guessing Turkey. Nope, Turkey is not an oil producer and certainly hasn't got reserves. Burkina Faso, or Fasa from Richard C. Nope, not Burkina Faso either. Nina Frank, Iraq, we have. Iran from Sylvia, we have. Blaine, United Arab Emirates, we have. Rob Souter, Canada, we got it. And Jordan going with Qatar. Qatar is number 12. 25 billion barrels. What is it? 3 million people. That's it. A lot of oil for a few people. That country will be wealthy for quite some time. Robert Brandt, Russia, Siberia. Russia, we already did. They're the 8th largest. Tracy, Venezuela, we have already. Peter Heckema, Venezuela. Tracy Dunlop, Argentina. Argentina is not an oil producer of major note, and whatever reserves they have not yet been identified to make the top 20. They may well have reserves, but they don't have enough oil reserves to show on this chart at this point. Iraq, we have from Tracy. Libya, from Peter, we have. Brittany Lockwood said TY and Jordan. I'm not sure what's going on. Brittany Lockwood is thinking about Mexico. Very good, Brittany. Mexico is on the list at 17th place. 10.4 billion barrels is all they're showing for reserves. That's very low on this list of majors. The U.S. has 20 billion. That's low compared to countries elsewhere with 5-10 times as much. But Mexico is in the top 20. Peter Heckema guessed Kuwait. We've done that. Brittany Lockwood was guessing Brazil. Brazil, 15th place, 12.8 billion barrels, a little more than Mexico, actually. Brazil is not known as an oil producer, but they do produce oil. But with 70 million people, that's not a lot of reserves. Brazil is one of the countries that has gone another direction. They are producing gasoline from sugar. They can grow sugar like there's no tomorrow. And they're growing their petroleum rather than drilling it and using it that way. Quite interesting. I think Brazil will also be a major solar and wind power country as well going forward. Peter Heckema, Nigeria, we have. Brittany Lockwood as China, we did that. Blaine, Kazakhstan. Yep, Kazakhstan is number 11 with 30 billion, half as much as the United States. 30 billion barrels in Kazakhstan. Tracy Dunlap is guessing Egypt. Nope, Egypt is not on the list, sorry. Ghana from Brittany Lockwood. Nope, Ghana not on the list either. Hong Kong from Ann Jordan. No, Hong Kong, nice place to visit, but not oil rich. Richard C. Venezuela had so much oil, they gave free heating oil to the poor in the U.S. This was headed by the Kennedys for all the poor folks so they would stay warm in the winter. That was it was a publicity type thing. I think Chavez was doing that while he was in his last years. But Venezuela has such potential. They could be one of the richest countries on earth, but their citizens are starving to death. It's a real sad story. It's a shame. Blaine, Qatar, we've done it. Algeria from Blaine as well. Number 16, Algeria, 12.6 million barrels. Nina Frank, Mexico. Doha from Ann Jordan. Doha is a city, not a country. Sylvia going with Brazil. We have it. Peter Heckema, Richard C. Yes, I remember that. Blaine, Ecuador. No, Ecuador is not on the list here. India from Brittany Lockwood. India is not on the list for oil. India has found major reserves of natural gas offshore, and they're developing it quite quickly. But they're not an oil. They're not known as an oil-producing nation at this point. Wes Morrison, Norway, the country of Norway. Norway is still in the list, number 20. They're the last country. They have 6.5 billion barrels left. Norway has figured it out. They knew 15 years ago they would be out of oil to be able to produce oil. They would be out by about 2025, 2030. They'd be done for. And so back in the 80s, when Norway began producing oil from the North Sea, they took the royalties from oil, the proceeds, and almost all of the royalty money went into a bank account. And Norway has now what's known as a sovereign wealth fund that is massive amounts of money. It has got to be, oh gosh, close to $1 trillion, half a trillion. It's a lot of money, hundreds and hundreds of billions. And 4% of the money that the wealth fund makes, Norway spends. The rest they leave alone to grow, because they know that oil was for everyone in Norway, not those who were alive when it was done, but for everyone who's going to be a Norwegian going forward. So this country has put a savings account together, a pension fund that invests in businesses around the planet very conservatively. And they now practically, the budget of the country comes from taxation, from people's taxes, and from the wealth fund. And the oil revenues are plummeting every year, and they don't need the money anymore from the oil that's coming out of the ground or out of the bottom of the sea because they're running out. It's been replaced by the interest on the money. That's for forever. That is perpetual fund for Norway. Quite an amazing story. Tom Henry, good night, everyone. Falling asleep here. Hang on, buddy. D&G Explorers, Ukraine. Nope, not Ukraine. Honduras, no. Bolivia, nope. I'm only looking for a couple of countries, by the way. You already have Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Canada, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Russia, Libya, Nigeria, Kazakhstan, Qatar, the US, China, Brazil, Algeria, Mexico, and Norway. I have 2 left. If I see them, I will tell you. If I don't, I'll tell you who they are. Blaine, Angola, that's one of them. Well done. That's 18th place. And I have 1 country left. It is here. It is here. I don't see it. There it is. Azerbaijan from Blaine. We are done. The first quiz is over. Thank you very much, everybody. Well done. All right. Enough oil talk for one day. How about a Canada trivia quiz? This is a Canada trivia quiz. Tell me the 25 largest metropolitan areas in all of Canada. The 25 largest cities by metropolitan count in Canada. Can you do that? Let's see how you do here. We got 20 viewers. Let's find out the 20 largest metropolitan areas of Canada. And let's see what we have. Think about cities in Canada. Start guessing, and I'll start knocking them off. Cool Jazz is thinking of the city of Nova Scotia, which is not a city. It's a province of Nova Scotia. Sorry. Robert Brandt going with Toronto. So is Paul Wilgus. So is Peter Heckema. Toronto's number 1. 5.1 million in the metropolitan area. I would say the greater Toronto area is 9 million, but it's clearly our number 1 city in size of population. Robert Brandt, Vancouver, number 3 at 2.1 million. I think that the actual total area would be over 3.5. Peter had Toronto, and Jordan's thinking Ottawa. Yep, Ottawa's number 4 at 1.1 million. Quebec, Robert Brandt, I'm going with Quebec City for you. Quebec City is number 7 at 715,000. One of the most beautiful places you can visit on a cruise ship into Canada. Peter Heckema is looking at Montreal, and Montreal is number 2 at 3.6 million people. Nina had Vancouver as well. Peter Heckema, Halifax. Halifax in Nova Scotia, 13th place, 372,000. Blaine had Ottawa. And Jordan had the Peg, Winnipeg. The Peg, 8th largest, 694,000 people. Well done. You got the Peg. Tracy had Toronto. Peter Heckema, Calgary. What about Calgary? Yeah, Calgary, number 5. 1 million people in Calgary made the list. And right behind it, Edmonton, of course, 1 million people in Edmonton. It's our capital city in Alberta, by the way, is Edmonton. We hate that because that's where the politicians are. But on the other hand, we like it that they're up there. Not in our town. You guys can keep those guys. Blaine, Hamilton, Ontario. Hamilton is number 9 at 692,000. Cool Jazz is guessing the province of Prince Edward Island. That's another province. Blaine, Windsor, Ontario, right across the river from Detroit. 16th largest, 323,000. They make cars there. Tracy Dunlop, Halifax, we have it. Blaine, Kitchener, Waterloo, Ontario, the Twin Cities. I used to live there, 451,000. That is the 11th largest in the country. Hamilton, we have London, Ontario. Blaine, London, Ontario, 10th largest of 457,000. Winnipeg from Peter. St. Catharines from Blaine. St. Catharines, Ontario, 12th largest, 390,000 people. Let's see. Ann Jordan, hope you're okay. Jim, hope Deb can help you. Oshawa, Ontario from Blaine. Oshawa. Oshawa, Ontario. Let me take a quick look. Say yes, 14th largest, 330,000. They build cars there in Oshawa, Ontario. It's east of Toronto, about an hour or so. Niagara Falls, Cool Jazz. Niagara Falls is part of St. Catharines. It's all-inclusive. Cornwall, Ontario. Cat Rose is wondering about Cornwall, Ontario. Nope, Cornwall is not on the list. So far, you guys have done very well. You have Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Ottawa, Calgary, Edmonton, Quebec, Winnipeg, Hamilton, London, Kitchener, St. Catharines, Halifax, Oshawa. That's the first 14 in a row. Then you've got Windsor, and there are about 10 more left. I'll start giving you hints here in a moment. Dover, no city called Dover. Corner Brook, not big enough, Peter. Sherbrooke, I don't think so. Nope. Yes, sorry, Sherbrooke, you got it. 19th largest, 186,000. Sherbrooke is good. Regina, Rob Souter, yes, 18th largest, 194,000. Oshkosh, no, sorry, Brittany. Thunder Bay, Ontario from Blaine. Thunder Bay, Ontario. Looking for Thunder Bay, Ontario. And I'm surprised that it is not on my list at all. Thunder Bay is probably just out of the 25. And Iskew Park is one of my regulars who watches from Thunder Bay almost every day, but he's not here today. Barrie, Ontario. Blaine, yes, sir. 21st overall, 177,000. St. John, Cat Rose is wondering about St. John. There's another city called St. John's. I'm going to give you that one. St. John's is 20th. There is a St. John, New Brunswick, and St. John's, Newfoundland. Newfoundland has the population. St. John isn't big enough, but it's good. Kelowna from Blaine. He's guessing Kelowna, 22nd largest on the list, 162,000. We're just about done on this one, you guys. You've done really, really well. I'm looking for a city that is on an island off the west coast. There's Vancouver, and then there's an island just west of the city of Vancouver. There's a city on that island that's named after the island. Do you know what that one is? Let's see. Moncton, New Brunswick is another guess that just came in. Sorry, Moncton didn't cut it. Newfoundland is the island, the province. Is Sudbury on there? Sudbury is on there in 24th place. That's where I was born. Sudbury, Ontario, 24th largest metropolitan area in Canada. Trois-Rivières, Three Rivers, does not make the cut, unfortunately. London, Ontario, we have. And Peter has got Victoria on Victoria Island, just west of Vancouver. You now have the top 16. I've only got 3 cities left. I have 1 city in Saskatchewan, and here Peter just got it, Saskatoon. That one's gone, number 17. I have another city in British Columbia, and I have a city in Ontario. The city in Ontario is where a fellow by the name of Don Cherry comes from. If anybody knows who Don Cherry is, there's some Canadians who are watching here. Don Cherry is famous for Hockey Night in Canada. During the first intermission, he is on with Ron McLean talking hockey every week during the season, and he wears these incredibly high-collared shirts, a very dapper dresser. He's from this city, which he loves dearly and talks about all the time. Does anyone happen to know what it is? Blaine just gave me the British Columbia city that I'm looking for, Abbotsford. Thank you, sir. That's number 23 on the list. I have 1 city left. It is Don Cherry's hometown, home of Doug Gilmour, great NHL hockey player, home of one of the most notorious prisons in all of Canada, a maximum security prison at this city in Canada. It's just on the north shore of Lake Ontario, halfway between Toronto and Montreal. And I'm waiting to see if anyone guesses it. If you don't, I'll give it to you. There's guesses coming in from Windsor and Guelph. Not the city I'm looking for. Ends in Stun, S-T-O-N, are the last four letters of this city. I'm thinking about the last city in the top 25 in Canada, and see if anyone can guess. It's named after royalty, in case anybody's curious. Ends in S-T-O-N. Anybody know? I will give you 10 seconds. I will give you 7 seconds. 5 seconds. 2 seconds. Time's up. It's Kingston, Ontario. Named after a king, 152,000, 25th largest metropolitan area in Canada. Compared to the United States, the 25th largest city in the United States compared to Canada's 25th largest city, it's not even close. That's why I stopped it. I could have gone to the top 100. We don't want to do that. All right, one last quiz for you, trivia question. Let's see how you guys do on this last one. This one is a global question. I'm looking for countries of the world, and here is the question. All right. I want to know what countries can you find at least one, or more than one of the top 100 populated cities of the world. All right. So you think the largest city in the world, what country is it in? It may have more than one of the top 100. It may only have one of the top 100. I have a list here of the countries that hold the 100 largest cities on the planet, and you're good to go. Let's guess away. Peter and Cool Jazz had Kingston, by the way. Thank you, guys. D&G Explorers is coming in with Mexico City, or Mexico, the country, excuse me, the country of Mexico. Forgive me. Mexico has 3 cities in the top 100. That would be Mexico City, likely, of course. I think it's Guadalajara would be a second one. Not sure about the third one. Not sure if the third city will be. Doesn't matter. You don't need to know. You just gave me a country, and I'll tell you how many of the top 100 cities in the world live in that country. D&G Explorers followed it up with Japan, and Japan has 3 cities also in the top 100. Tokyo, Osaka, and maybe Fujihara, Yakamoro, whichever. But anyways, 3. China, D&G Explorers. Yep, 16 of the largest cities in the world. 16 of the top 100 are in China. I'm not naming them all. I can't. China has 16. That's the number 1 country for population. Makes sense. 1.2 billion people or more. Paul Wilkes is guessing the United Kingdom. UK is on the list with 1. London, England is only 1 of the top 100. Brittany Lockwood is thinking the Vatican. Way to go, Brittany. Paul Wilkes, the United States of America, number 2 country for big cities. 14 large cities in the United States of the top 100 in the world, coming in number 2 behind China. Robert Brandt has Japan. We've got it. Peter Heckman is guessing the city of London. We don't need to guess the city. I just want countries. Blaine has Japan. Brittany, the U.S. Robert, the U.S. D&G Explorers. India. Yes, India. 9 cities that rank in the top 100. Who else have we got here? Ann Jordan has the USA. Peter Heckman, UK. Blaine, Mexico. Robert Brandt is thinking Brazil. Brazil is 4th with 8 cities. Brazil has 8 cities in the top 100 in population. Kat had China. And Jordan has Russia. Russia has 2 cities. Moscow and St. Petersburg are your 2 cities in Russia. Tracy has the United States. Brittany, thinking about Italy. Italy has 2 cities. I believe it's Milan and Rome. I think those are the 2 cities. Nina has India. We have it. Gayleen is guessing the city of London. We just need countries, not the cities. Tracy Dunlap, China. We have Nina, China. Brittany Lockwood, how about Hungary? Does Hungary have a single city or more? No, Hungary does not have a single city in the top 100 cities of the world in population. Brittany Lockwood, Jamaica, no. And Jordan is guessing Canada. Is Canada on the list? Yes, there are 2 cities in Canada that rank in the top 100, Montreal and Toronto. Those are the 2. Peter Heckema, Brazil. Gayleen, we've got Brazil already. Gayleen is going with Indonesia. And Indonesia is on the list with 1 city, and that's Jakarta. Yep, that's the only city that ranks. Brittany has Canada. Blaine guessed Russia. We have it. Peter with India. We have it. Gayleen, Japan. We have it. Peter Heckema is guessing Pakistan. Let me take a look for Pakistan. Does it have any country, any cities in the top 100? No, Pakistan does not have a city large enough to crack the top 100. Blaine is thinking Switzerland. No, I don't think so. Switzerland does not have a city. I would say Zurich is its largest city. I don't think Zurich is a million. I wouldn't rank anywhere near the top 100. Brittany Lockwood, Germany. What about Germany? They have two cities in the top 100. It would be Berlin and I believe Hamburg, if I am correct. If it's not Hamburg, it's Munich, but those are the two. Blaine, the United Kingdom, we've got. Tracy has India. Nina, Indonesia. Brittany Lockwood, Australia. They got some big cities there. They do have big cities. Two of them, Sydney and Melbourne, are in the top 100 for Australia. They got two cities. Nina Frank, the Philippines. What about Manila? Manila, yes, one city. It's Manila only. The Philippines is correct. Brittany, South Korea. Bruce, what about South Korea? Let's take a look for South Korea here. They have one city, Seoul, South Korea. That is big enough to rank in the top 100. Absolutely. And Jordan, New Zealand. What about New Zealand? Sorry, I know Christchurch and Wellington and Auckland. Nope, they don't make the top 100. Cool Jazz, Thailand. What about Thailand, Bruce? Do they rank in the top with at least one city? Yes. That would be Bangkok, Thailand, I believe, one city. Nigeria. Peter Heckema is thinking about Nigeria as a country. Yep, it's one city in Nigeria. I can't name it off the top of my head. Argentina from Brittany Lockwood. Argentina has one city as well. Buenos Aires, I believe, is the city, if I got my bearings correct. Blaine has Germany. We have it. D&G Explorers. What about France? Peter Heckema is coming in with France as well. France, that would be the city of Paris. One city, the city of Paris, correct. Peru, Brittany Lockwood is wondering about Peru. Yep, one city. What would that be? La Paz or Lima? Lima, Peru, am I correct? Might be Lima. South Korea we have. Brittany Lockwood. What about Spain, Bruce? Spain in Europe. Two cities, Barcelona and Madrid, make the top 100. Blaine has it as well. Robert Brandt, Australia, we have it. Blaine, Argentina, we have it. D&G Explorers, Egypt. Yes, two cities. I believe it's Cairo and Alexandria, if I recall, are the two, I think. Ukraine, Nina Frank is wondering about Ukraine. Do they have their city Kiev by chance? Would it crack the top? Ukraine is not in the top list for largest cities in the world. No. Chile, Brittany Lockwood. Yes, one city only. Santiago, perhaps. I think it's Santiago, Chile. Blaine, Ukraine, we just tried. Malaysia, Robert Brandt is going with Malaysia. That would be Kuala Lumpur, one city. I would love to go there someday. Italy, Blaine, we already have it. South Africa is another guess. Three cities in South Africa. That would be Johannesburg, Cape Town, and maybe Pretoria. Those might be the three that are the largest in South Africa. D&G Explorers, Pakistan, no. Portugal, Nina Frank is wondering about Portugal. That would probably mean the city of Lisbon, be my guess, if it were to rank, and it does not rank big enough on its own to make the top 100. Robert Brandt, Thailand, we already done it. Brittany Lockwood, Malaysia, we have it. Brittany, Portugal, we got it. Cool Jazz, Brazil, we have it. Tracy Dunlap, Saudi Arabia, yes, one city, probably Riyadh, the capital, definitely. Austria is Blaine's guess. Austria, then it would have to be Vienna. But no, Austria does not make the cut. Vienna is not big enough to make a city in the top 100 in the world. Peter Heckema and had Japan, Egypt. We already did it. North Korea, nope, not going to work. Sorry, Brittany. Peter Heckema, Vietnam. Vietnam is his guess. One city, probably Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon. Probably Hanoi, though, I think is the one. Tracy Dunlop, India, we already have it. Spain, we've got. Bali is a city in Indonesia. It's a resort area. It wouldn't make it. Nina Frank I think Nina Frank is giving me Poland. That would be the city of Warsaw if it were to make it, but it did not rank high enough. Ireland, nope. Dublin, Ireland won't make it. Quito is a city. Republic of Congo is a country. Republic of Congo, yeah, the Democratic Republic of Congo I'm not sure what the city name is. It is Khartoum, or I'm not sure what the name of the city is. Kinshasa? Don't know. Honduras, from Brittany Lockwood. Honduras, no, did not make it. Belgium, Belgium does not have a city big enough to crack the top 100. Nope. Greece, that would be Athens in my book. Let me find it. Let me see here. Where would it be? It should be here. I would think so. I don't see Greece. This is kind of odd. Just triple checking here. Yeah, I'm not finding it. I think Greece would work with Athens. I'll give you that one. Where am I here? Denmark? Nope. Norway? Nope. Belize? No. Sweden? No. Turkey? Turkey might do it. They have two cities apparently. Istanbul and perhaps Ankara could be the second city. Czech Republic, that would be Prague. No, Czech Republic does not cut it. The Prague is not big enough to crack that cities into the top 100. Brittany Lockwood, Norway, no. Blaine, Tanzania, no. Poland, no. Myanmar. Blaine is wondering about Myanmar. Yes. I don't know the name of the city off the top of my head. Colombia is another guest coming in. Colombia. Yep, that would be Bogota, one city. Tanzania, I do not have. Bangladesh, I have. There are two cities in Bangladesh. Can't name either of them for you. Taiwan is a guess. Taipei would be the city, I would say. Yep, it is Taipei, Taiwan. We got it. Ecuador is another guess coming in right now. These are really good guesses, you guys. Ecuador, nope, I don't have Ecuador on the list at all. And I have to apologize. Someone guessed, a couple of you guessed Pakistan. Pakistan has two cities. I'm sorry. I'm not sure the names of them. One of them might be Islamabad. Another one might be. Oh, I've lost it. It was on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, sorry about that. Pakistan is on the list. You guys have got already almost all of them. There's only about 5 or 6 left, so we're just about to wrap this one up. Let me see here. Taiwan, Ecuador, Somalia is another guess. Somalia is not on the list. Let's see here. Netherlands, Singapore, the state of Singapore. Yes, Singapore itself is on the list. Robert Brandt saying, don't forget thumbs up. Nina Frank, Ethiopia. The country has a ton of people. Does it have a city in the top 100? Looking for Ethiopia. I am not seeing Ethiopia on the list. Morocco is another guess coming in. Yes, one city. Is it Casablanca? I'm not sure. Sri Lanka is another guess just coming in. Looking for Sri Lanka. I do not see it. Peru is another guess. Did we do Peru already? We have done Peru, and it is on the list. Netherlands, no. Kenya is on the list with one city. Denmark, no. Sri Lanka, no. Morocco, we've done. Mongolia and Monaco. Monaco, no. Mongolia, no. Let me just take a look at the last of this list here, folks. The country of Iran is one of them. Iraq is another because of Baghdad. Guesses were coming in here for Libya, Cameroon, and Brazil. And we don't have any of those. Venezuela is another, Caracas. The Ivory Coast, I don't know the city name. And Sudan is the last one on the list. That finishes this trivia question. I don't want to put you through any more suffering on that one. I've talked long enough about the oil patch and Canada and Calgary. I hope I haven't bored you too much with that. Hope you found it somewhat interesting. I want to give you a little background on this town and this area here to kind of help you absorb some of this culture from here. I've really enjoyed this this evening. That is my trivia for the evening, and we are done. Interesting stats on some of these places, isn't it? Tomorrow is Wednesday. I'll be doing my single show tomorrow at 5 o'clock. I'm going to see if I can put up another video as well. I'm working on a couple of ideas right now. See if I can do something for it. We have 18 viewers still here. How many thumbs ups did we get today? 17 thumbs ups. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the thumbs ups today. I really appreciate it. If anyone can spare a couple on the way out, that would be fantastic. Peter Heckman, it was stimulating, Bruce. Well, I'm glad you were somewhat stimulated in a PG kind of way. No, it is fascinating, Brittany says. Well, thank you for that, too. I used to be in the stock market as a stockbroker when I first started, when I was in my early 20s, and I helped oil companies raise money to get started. And I'll tell you, those were exciting and scary days because you'd raise a company, the stockbrokers and we'd be out there with investors. We'd raise a couple $1 million, and an oil company would have enough money to drill maybe 2 or 3 wells if they kind of got other partners involved. And we would be sitting by the telephone waiting to hear the word, did they hit oil or not? If they hit oil, that little stock we sold our investors was worth a lot of money. If they didn't hit oil, they had a tax loss on their hands. And sometimes we had some explaining to do as to why it didn't work out. But in your early 20s, you can handle that kind of pressure, and you can try and endure that. But I got to tell you, as you get older, you want to get into something a little more secure. And I decided to go more into the longer-term financing arrangements. Wes Morrison, being from Texas, I enjoyed your talk about oil. Thank you, Wes, very much. D&G, thank you. John Vincent, later, Bruce. Good Joe. Thank you, John, so much. Cool Jazz, I see turbine picks behind you, Bruce. Yes, right there. Yeah, that's right. We have those too in this province. This province is very windy. It's open prairie. The wind comes off the Rockies and comes barreling down the slope and across the prairies here. We've got wind turbines everywhere, especially south of us, about an hour and a half by car. We produce more electricity there than you can believe. It's an amazing amount. We have massive transmission lines heading north to Calgary, right to here, to power houses, businesses, and we're oil country. We don't burn oil to make electricity here. We don't need to do that. We have hydroelectric, but we do have some coal, but it is being phased out. All of our coal plants will be shut down within 5 years. I think there's only 2 left. There used to be maybe 6 or 8. We will be off coal in 5 years. It's legislated. It's law. It's illegal to burn coal in this province to make electricity in about 5 years from now, because we have plenty of other ways to make it, including solar. We have a lot of solar here. We get a lot of sunshine up here, actually, but wind as well. And, of course, hydro. We have a lot of that. Kind of interesting. Cool Jazz, I see turbines. And Jordan, great trivia, Bruce. Awesome show as always. Thank you, guys. Well, there you go. There's your little story, a little history lesson on Alberta. I haven't even told you the story of the National Railway yet. I haven't even done that. That's what really put this town on the map, was the National Railway connecting the Atlantic to the Pacific. That's another story for another day. Thursday night trivia, maybe. We'll see. It's an old story, but it's a good story. I do love it. Thank you again for joining me tonight, guys. Have a great evening. Join me on my Facebook page, Traveling with Bruce. I've got 20 thumbs ups now. Thank you for a couple more thumbs ups coming in at the end of the show. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is August. This was the last day of July, my last show for July. Tomorrow is August the 1st. I'll see you August the 1st. And we're 12 days away from our first anniversary on the air. Holy moly, I can't believe it. Cool Jazz, via trivia. Peter Heckman, have a good evening. Thanks, everybody. Take care. I will see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. This is Bruce with Traveling with Bruce. Tuesday night trivia, saying thanks for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Have a good evening, everybody. Bye for now.